called to be a leader. The disciple is one that can't stand not to be like Jesus in nature, in direction, in training, in understanding, and in being called to be a leader by nature, comma, no matter what happens, period. His was a call, comma, God's call is to completely surrender ourselves to God, and God can be understood as the humanity within us, to completely surrender control of our lives to that impulse, that capacity, that DNA given circuitry that we can never control, but we can turn ourselves over to. And all but 1 in 100 million children of empire find that so terrifying, so inconceivable, so unnatural. Oh, sorry. That the impulse is understood as insanity itself, whereas Jesus understood that impulse as sanity itself, as God itself. So empire is made up of the 99.999% of people that have been taught that that impulse is suicide, that that impulse is self-destruction, that that impulse is insanity. Jesus' job therefore the job of the disciple, the way of the disciple, the being of the disciple, is to be surrender to that impulse as purely as possible. Morning, Critter. To be that instrument of that impulse, to be that instrument of God. That it makes of the individual that so surrenders the only divinely hopeful type of way of being for a human being. And it is the way of being of every other creature, every other species. And that impulse, which is DNA given, God given, Creator given, is in virtually every individual. It was their natural state. So there's a chance that it is latent, there to be awakened from a coma and through excruciating, exquisitely joyful rehab brought back to life. This is what that impulse would do. This is what that impulse does. We can see it in every other species except for human beings in complex societies. They are, life naturally is complete surrender to that impulse, and therefore it is the pure embodiment of that impulse. The curse of human beings is that they have the capacity to step away from that. No other species has the capacity to step away from that. Besides the human species. And in small Aboriginal untouched tribes by empire, it is more the natural way of being than not. The notion of I, let alone the word for I, does not exist in some of them. They cannot understand themselves as separate from all life. And the children of empire, originally children of God, but empire quickly yanks them out of Creator's kingdom into her own. The children of empire are made children of empire exactly by subverting that impulse, convincing the child that it's nice but crazy. It can be brought out on a very short leash occasionally, but it is irresponsible. It is evil. It is destructive to follow that impulse, which is the only creative life impulse.